Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest White Pot. I'm Stephen Blaine, your host of White Labs, an internet marketing agency that specializes in SaaS and e-commerce. Today,
Hi there.
Austin, feel free to let our viewers know a little bit about
Austin Allan. I guess I just would call myself an entrepreneur. I've had several businesses in my life, but two really major ones. The first one in the consumer packaged goods space called Tio Gazpacho, and then I currently run a retail and e-commerce business called Sugarwood, which is in the sex positive dessert space. It's a very, very unique space that nobody else is really in.
Austin. One of the more interesting products I've ever had on the podcast. Can you explain more about your?
So Sugarwood, we call ourselves New York's naughtiest dessert brand. So we have a retail location and we sell a bunch of different products. I'll let you figure out what they're shaped like, but we call them woodies and kitties. We sell waffles, chocolate bars, cookies. The whole thing is into very fun, silly, lighthearted, but sex positive. So reason that I started this business is I had seen a similar product sold in stores in Europe. And I thought it'd be a great product for the United States, particularly for New York. And what we do, we have three sort of guiding principles, which is number one, not take life too seriously. And then also to really open up these conversations around sex, body parts, gender, body positivity, sexuality, all those things that when I was a kid, you never talked about. It was just, they were sort of off limit topics, which, I don't think they should be. We don't necessarily want to engage in like really detailed discussions around, medical discussions around. I think it should be okay to mention, a penis or anything like that. It shouldn't be something that's shameful to just mention in passing. And then the last one is to give back. So we donate a portion of profits when we have profits available to different nonprofits. We've been focusing on LGBT rights because that's near and dear to my heart. As we grow, we're going to expand our giving into other arenas as well.
Awesome. And
we opened our store in June of 2022, so we're almost at 2 years. And then we launched our e-commerce business at the end of 2022, but it was very rinky-dink. I just put the Shopify site together myself. It was a separate site. The photography was awful. So we launched the current iteration of the site not that long ago, but we had a previous one that was pretty good middle of last year. So it's been a work in progress, definitely an evolution. We started out with a very, very narrow focus, and we've now pivoted to from just a retail shop with a narrow focus to a retail shop with a large focus, and then an e-commerce initiative as well.
Awesome. So who is your...
Probably, it's hard to define because our audience is very general. The one data point that I always throw out is that our audience is about 70% women and about 25% men, which tend to be gay men. But after demographics, we really appeal to all walks of life. We have people from all over the world that have visited our store. I have a push pin map. People can mark in the map where they're from. And awesome. We've had people from Kazakhstan and South Africa and Dubai and you name it. People have been to our store. And we've had people, 18 and up, or late teens, early 20s, all the way up to grandmothers coming in, grandfathers, every race, every gender, every language, nationality. I mean, you name it. There's really not one, typical consumer, which is great. I love that I have this brand that has this sort of semi-mass appeal, even though it could be considered a niche brand. Like, it definitely has universal appeal because there's that like sort of not taking life too seriously aspect that I think appeals to all walks of life.
Awesome. I know you mentioned it in the beginning. So what makes you different?
I mean, there are a couple shops in the US that maybe sell the same waffles that we sell, but that's sort of where the similarities end. And they're doing what we're doing in the e-commerce space. But I will say what we're competing against and what our market is and what our white space is this sort of fun, novelty dessert or like sort of party favor gift. That's not super tacky, a lot of because we have a lot of bachelorette parties. That's a big market for us. And those favors and those things tend to be pretty tacky, like lots of plastic penises on their head and penis straws and things like that.
That's where my mind went when I first saw this. Is I'm sure it's popular among bachelorette parties. Are you selling everywhere in the United States or
New York? Obviously people. Well, I take that back. In the shop, we're obviously selling in New York, but the shipments are going all over the country, and that's why I realized that the pivot came about because I started to look for investors last year to open additional locations, and the feedback that I got was, well, why are you going to go after this opportunity to open shop by shop or even franchise the business if you could just sell in e-commerce and reach everyone all over the country. It's not the same. It's not as experiential. You don't get the, the in-person demonstrations with the dripping sauces and all the jokes and innuendo, but at least, you press the entire country, and people want this product, for gifts and parties and bachelorettes and things like that, no matter what. So why not tackle that first, and then you can set about opening other locations. And I had a business plan around opening in Nashville because Nashville is the bachelorette party capital of the world. And they're like, yeah, we get it, but think of the logistics that goes into just opening one more location when you could open up your direct to consumer business even further, and you'll be able to make way more money than if you open a shop in Nashville. So it was very wise advice, right? Like I was so sort of blinded by this Nashville idea, and after talking to people that are very smart and have way more experience in e-commerce than I do, and actually more experience in retail than I do, I realized that the pivot towards e-commerce was a wise one. And I see the orders come in from all over the country. It's not just LA and San Francisco and Austin, Texas.
What are your best?
We started off with just waffles. We call them the Woodies and the Woody waffles and Kitty waffles. We've expanded to cookies and popsicles and chocolate bars and boxes and caterings. It's still the individual Woody waffle is what people come in for. It's something like 70% of our business, like in store. Wow. And combos, we've got boxes, all that. And that's still like the core of our product. It's amazing how many of those we've sold. I think one time looking at the sales results, it was something like we'd sold like 20,000 of them, in the first like 12 months of business or something like that.
Wow.
Which is just mind blowing, especially as we have these, these machines that are meant to make 4 waffles at a time. And, we're not like in some sort of massive commercial operation. We're literally making each one individually. So to think that we've sold, 25,000 or plus of those is just mind boggling.
Awesome. That's great. Ignore the floating balloon coming behind me. What's your future?
So what's take up all my time these days is we've just launched a equity crowdfunding campaign on republic.com, which for those that are unfamiliar with Republic, it's similar to WeFunder and Start Engine in that we actually can sell equity in our company on the platform. So also announced to Kickstarter, but this is actual raising capital for the business versus selling products to help the business grow. And so that campaign is now live on Republic. It's republic.com/sugarwood, and investment's $100, which is awesome. I think that, given the power of this brand, the virality of it, the fact that people just fall in love with it, and make a pilgrimage to come see us. And I think we'll be able to secure that capital on the backs of, or the aggregate of $300, $500, $1,000 here and there versus, a more traditional funding campaign of going out and seeking individuals that are willing to put up $25,000 and $50,000. So yeah, I'm really been working on that for months, and it's now live and accepting reservations. So we're really, really pleased that that's finally out the gate.
Awesome. And that's on your site. That link.
Exactly. And and anybody can invest. You don't have to be a U.S. resident. You don't have to be an accredited investor. It's big, small increments. There are limitations if you're not an accredited investor, but anybody can invest pretty much.
And the website is sugarwood. Right? Not
sugarwood.co. Exactly.
Someone from you.
It already purchased and somebody's sitting on it. We also have sugarwood.us, which is all of our social media handles. So we have that website, and then if you look us up on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, it's sugarwood.us.
Awesome. So what are some ways you are promoting the business to be found, all over the United States? And
I heard what are some ways
what activities are you doing to promote the business?
Do a wide array of marketing, everything from traditional, like we call them wheat pasting posters here in New York, where people put posters up all over the city. We're doing social media, organic social media, a little bit of paid search, email marketing, affiliate marketing. We have posts distributed in the store with QR codes. We work with local ticketing companies to promote some events that we're doing. So we have a lot of activities that we're working on, a lot of ways that we promote the business. There doesn't seem to be one that works the best, except for a few accounts on Instagram talk about things to do in New York. That always gets us crazy amounts of business. But everything else is all really nice, and so the aggregate is it works to business.
Great. So most of our listeners are entrepreneurs. What are some challenges that you faced that you were able to overcome in the last?
Challenge for me has been that New York is just an expensive place to do business, and it's a very stressful place to do business. And there's so much noise. Like if we were to open this shop in Toledo, Ohio, for example, and disrespect to Toledo, I think it would be really like attention grabbing, and people would just sort of flock. You'd probably have a lot of backlash as well, but you'd get so much attention from it. But in New York, like so many things have been done before, and people are desensitized to sort of shocking or creative things. So there's just a lot of noise to compete with. I think that's been the biggest challenge, is just operating a retail business in New York City. My previous business was consumer packaged goods, so we were reaching all over the country, and it was more B2B, even though you're trying to work with the end consumer. And so that's been the challenge. But on the flip side, it's also been a brand that people just love and post on social themselves, and share with their friends, and bring people in, and bring back and send gifts. So it's I guess it's a little bit of it's a challenge, but it's also a positive as well, because we do get so much love.
That's great. I looked it's different at least. So I like it. So is there anything else that you want our audience to know about yourself, about Sugarwood?
I mean, we're on a mission. Like, I have a very clear vision. I think my first business, I had a clear vision of what I wanted to do. This one, I have a really super clear vision of how I want the business to grow, and what I want it to achieve, and what I want it to say about me and about the world. And I think that it really resonates with people. And so I'm just looking for more people to sort of join the coalition, whether you want to be an investor or an advisor, or, a franchise owner, or just a customer. I think I'm always happy to talk to people that are curious about my business, because I found that those conversations lead to really amazing connections. So if anything about the business piques your curiosity, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming on the White Pod, and showcasing Sugarwood and yourself. And I appreciate. Definitely. Thank you.